it took was a month and a half off, one reinstallation of Skype, a totally different way to capture Sonny Weaver's ugly mug, and we're finally back here on Highly Debatable, episode 22, live here on youtube.com/Madden Bomber League. Sonny, how you been, man? How's been your time away from Highly Debatable?
You know, did a lot of soul searching, went out, found out why it was I was losing. I think I've got some things figured out, so we're going to give it a try tonight and see if I can't win one.
Should be a fun show, folks. We appreciate all of you tuning out today here on YouTube. A reminder, after round 3, be sure to post hashtag OSU wins or hashtag Sonny wins in the chat so you can vote for who wins today. If you're watching this on YouTube in our archives, post that in the comments. We count those too. NBL Cardinal says, OSU auto wins because Sonny's in my division. I want him. I don't want him.
Ouch.
That's a horrible sentence, but, you know. I like this.
I want him win in...
I division want him win chat. That's what it said right there. Read it live on the air. Sonny, yeah, I think last time people tuned in, we did some test episodes with Highly Debatable, trying out some new segments, and there were some that made the cut. You're going to see some of them tonight, but I know the question that everyone wants to ask is, what's going on with that NBL stock exchange?
Well, and obviously the problem with running the stock exchange here, season 1 of a new cycle, we've got some new owners in here, and it's obviously hard to figure out a new game, how everybody's going to play. So there was really no good way to set the, I guess the best way to put it is there's no way to put prices on people, right? It would have made it very difficult year 1. So NBL Stock Exchange will be back for season number 2 of the cycle. We'll have better handicapping of the players. So
plus we
don't
won't be
fret,
like in the middle of the season because like right now we're in week 7. We get like 2 picks in, but I know everybody was wondering like, will we be getting rid of it? No.
It's coming back.
But can I ask a question, Sonny? I know this is gonna date this really well. Did I see correctly that your game ended 7-5?
Yes, it was actually a game of baseball. We went into extra innings. Came up 7-5.
Well, hey, good for you, man. Branching out here in the NBL. We know what everybody's waiting for. Let's just get to it. Let's get to round 1. And in round 1, we return to one of our test games. We're going to keep this one rolling. Next week, headlines today. That's where we give you the headlines you will see in the various newspapers, of course, that cover the NBL. You'll get to see what we think those next week headlines are. Sonny Weaver, I'm going to give you the first say. What sort of headlines are you going to be seeing from your newspaper next week?
Well, you know, they got out to a fast start out in LA, and I'm not talking about my Rams. I'm talking about those LA Chargers. But things aren't going so well now, and I think what you're going to see next week on that headline is LA Chargers running out of juice.
Uh-oh. Is that going to be a continuing theme we're going to see from this Chargers team?
You know what? I think it is. I think that Chargers team's on the slide. They got out fast and hot, but now it's bombs away out there in LA.
All right, well, my headline I think we're going to see next week. Of course, we saw the changing in ownership in New York. New York, a tough start to the season, but we got a new owner in there. And I think the headline you're going to see is Giant again in NYC. I like this Giants team under new ownership. I think you're going to be looking at a team that people are going to be actually watching out for. I looked at their schedule, and it plays out very favorably. They had a close loss to the Falcons. They win their game this week against the Redskins. And I think you're going to be looking at a team that's going to be on the up and up under new ownership.
That's an interesting one to me. I think the new ownership angle's, a good start. I'm not sure, though, it's tough because that team's got issues. It's got issues up front for sure. It's got some talent on the weapons, but I think they're probably a year away. I think that team's going to stay a little bit under 500, but they're going to be much improved from where they were before.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. What other headlines do you see cropping up next week?
You know, when we saw Lamar Jackson end up in Baltimore, we thought he was going to be the answer. But so far in this season, he's had ups and downs, but it just doesn't seem he's going to get it done. So I think what you're going to see out in Baltimore next week is no action, Mr. Jackson.
Oh no, Lamar Jackson. We've seen him in the beginning of this cycle, had some success early, especially running the ball. We've actually seen a drop-off in his rushing yards. Is it a concerted effort to throw the ball more, or is this just people starting to figure out what this rookie's about?
You know, that's the question. I think the The real consideration there is if you can contain Lamar Jackson, make him throw down the field. His weapons aren't all that great. The running game outside of Lamar Jackson's not been all that great. I think he's become too one-dimensional, and that's really kind of the issue there in Baltimore is that they're trying to make Lamar Jackson beat him with their arm, and he just can't do it.
Well, I think another headline we're going to see cropping up in those NBL newspapers is we got a game this week, a rivalry game. I'm going to speak on that rivalry in just a second. You're going to see how now Brown Town, because those Cleveland Browns are rolling. I picture them rolling over this Pittsburgh Steelers team again by 30-plus points. And, Sonny, I'm going to make a claim right now. When we looked at the cycle at the beginning, a lot of people were talking about new rivalries. We saw new ownerships go into different divisions, saw some interesting matchups. I think the Browns-Steelers rivalry in that AFC North will be the most disappointing rivalry in the entire cycle because it seems like these Cleveland Browns have the Pittsburgh Steelers figured out even with an inferior talented team, and they're only going to get better with the young talent and draft picks that they have.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one, actually. And I think, in fact, I'll take it one step further. I think that division is now the most overrated division that we see in NBL. We thought coming in they could have 3 possible double-digit win teams. And right now, I'm not sure they're going to get one over 500. It's been a struggle out there in the AFC North. Not sure what's going on.
All right, Sonny, last but not least, what's your final headline you're seeing in next week's papers?
Well, as good as things have gone in Jacksonville, there's one thing they've been struggling with, and that's to keep halfbacks healthy, and I think they're going to have more issues this week. So what you'll see in the newspaper next week is Jacksonville Jaguars, halfback help wanted. Not many qualifications. Can you carry a ball? Do you have 2, working legs? Basically, if you can take a ball in Jacksonville, they're willing to give it to you.
I think Jacksonville, it's becoming not just unfortunate, it's becoming unfortunate because of Leonard Fournette and the injuries.
Yeah, you got that monkey rim shot?
Yeah, where is it? I should have that. That's got to be queued up at all times here on the stream deck. My final one, I'm going to talk about a single player, and I'm going to say, much like the PlayStation 4, you're going to see Sony's flying off the shelf. I love what Sony Michel has in New England. They're facing off against the Buffalo Bills this week, who have the number 30 rush defense in the NBL. Sony Michel's already averaging 4.2 yards per carry so far. Only 1 touchdown. I'm predicting a big game from Sony Michel. I'm thinking 140 yards and a couple touchdowns for Sony Michel against a Bills team that can't stop a nosebleed.
Yeah, no, the crazy thing about that game is that's a big divisional game. Yeah. Like they both have losing records, but that could actually go a long way in determining if who wins the AFC East. It's just been horrible.
I think we're gonna be talking about the division a little later, but that ends it for next week's headlines today. Let's get to round 2. And one of the favorites of the crowd's Truth or Trash is back. We will read out a statement. We will let you know whether we think that statement is true or whether we think that statement deserves to go right into the garbage fire. Sonny, what you got? What are some statements we should be looking at here in Truth or Trash?
Truth or Trash, OSU, you can start us off. Truth or Trash, the best team in the AFC is the Kansas City Chiefs.
Ooh, the Chiefs have been impressive so far. Sitting there at 7-1 atop the AFC West. Owner JB had success in Seattle last cycle, for sure. I like this Kansas City Chiefs team, but I'm going to throw that one into the old garbage. Cue the Oscar.
Oh, no. All right. Oh.
Oh, Oscar the Grouch. I'm throwing it in the trash, and that's because, not any disrespect to the Kansas City Chiefs, but I still have the Cleveland Browns as my top team. I like what Bananas has out in Cleveland, and as we said, that might be the most overrated division, so I like his division chances more. I think until I see him falter, until I see this Browns team struggle, I still have them as my favorite to come out, but I don't think the Kansas City Chiefs are any more a secret underdog as that dark horse. I think everybody knows how good they are, and everyone's going to be looking out for that target on his back.
Well, I mean, I'm going to go ahead and say that's truth, and here's why I'm going to say that. Are we going to pretend like the Browns didn't lose just a few weeks ago to the New Orleans Saints? Like, we talk about struggles. There was a struggle there. Baker Mayfield wasn't Baker fantastic like he's been lately. And what I'll actually say with that is the best win so far of the season, I think it may actually be the Kansas City Chiefs over the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jaguars, I feel like they were kind of getting it rolling. Blake Bortles was figuring it out. The chess match of the game happened And honestly, that to me is an impressive win because we know how good Lip is out there, and to be able to kind of slow them down enough to get that victory. I like Kansas City. I think Kansas City is going to come away with the 1 seed in the AFC, and don't be surprised if they win the AFC.
It's certainly an interesting topic. The Browns have the #1 offense in the NBL right now. Here I'll pose a secondary question. We know the Browns are playing the Steelers this week, but next week the Browns and the Chiefs face off. Does that determine who gets the #1 seed this year?
Oh, I think it definitely could go a long way in determining that. You know, you look at both their kind of schedules down the back stretch. The Browns still have a matchup with the Falcons. They're actually going to go Kansas City Falcons and into their bye week, and then not a whole lot on the backside of that schedule. Kansas City still got a few tough ones in there, so that could go a long way. It's just going to come down to tiebreakers and whatnot because, Madden, and you never know what's going to happen.
I mean, I look at that schedule. I think that Chiefs might determine it, but I like the Browns' schedule after their bye week. They don't play a team right now who is currently above 500 after their bye week, so that certainly will help them go a long way. Let's get to the next one. What else are we going to determine, whether it's truth or trash?
Well, we're going to go ahead and we're going to say truth or trash. OSU, you'll start us off again here because I'm not going to take the lead on this one.
Okay, sure.
The NFC West is the best division in the NFC.
Ooh, that's a statement I didn't know we would even talk about last cycle. You're looking at the NFC. The NFC East, they have the undefeated Dallas Cowboys, but they don't have a team above 500. The NFC North, 6-1 Detroit Lions leading that one. The Bears, the Vikings are both sitting there in that 3-3, 3-4 range. The South has the Falcons at 7-0, everybody else at 500 or slightly below. The NFC West, the Rams at 7-1, the Cardinals at 4-3, and the Seahawks at 4-3. I am going to go ahead and say that is that's truth. I'm gonna say that's the truth. I think it is hard to argue against it because just of the records that there are right now. Now, there's a lot left to prove, especially within divisions. You've got a lot of division matchups still to come, but that Rams team at 7-1, even coming off a 7-5 win, no joke, that was a football score, folks. Even with that, they still came out with a victory. I think there are some, across the board, the only reason I think I'm for sure on the West being the best is because every other division, I haven't seen much from anything other than the top of the division. And that's where I've seen some things from the Cardinals and the Seahawks that I like. I don't know about the rest of the divisions.
So this is going to get kind of interesting because I'm actually going to go trash. Not to toot your horn, but I actually think it's the NFC South. And here's kind of my theory on that. Looking at it from top to bottom, right? We can call our matchup a wash or not. Sure. I'll take the victory in that. Sure. Okay. I don't know. But if you look at the rest of the division, Tampa Bay, do you think Tampa Bay is better than San Francisco?
Do I think Tampa Bay is better than San Francisco? Yes.
Okay. So, your worst is better than our worst. Seattle, do you think Seattle's better than New Orleans or Carolina?
I think Seattle is better than one of those teams.
Okay. Do you think Arizona is better than those teams?
I think they're better than one of those teams.
Okay. Do you think you're better than me, OSU?
Yes. Obviously.
Okay.
I mean, I've been on this all the time.
We've got a competitive one, so the tiebreaker goes to the undefeated team, therefore NFC South, best division.
A lot of people in the chat, they're all saying NFC East. Your thoughts on the East being the best division?
The NFC East is actually not a good division. So, not at all.
How was that? No, that was easy.
Not at all. Again, you got one guy.
Yeah, that's a top-heavy division. All right, Sonny, last but not least, where are we going? Truth or trash?
All right, last one here on Truth or Trash. Truth or Trash, the winner of the AFC East will have a winning record.
Oh, well, that AFC East is a mess right now. Patriots at 3-4, Jets at 2-5, Dolphins and Bills at 1-6. Sonny, is it like this all the time? I feel like the AFC East has been bad for a while.
It's always so bad. I don't understand it.
I am going to say, I'm going to say that's truth. I think the winner of the division will have a winning record, and here is why. I like the Patriots the best out of those three teams. They're sitting there at 3-4 at the top of the division. I look at their remaining schedule. They play their toughest game left, as I look through the remaining schedule, is the 4-3 Titans in Week 10. They don't play another team above 500 the rest of the year. That includes 2 matchups with the Bills, including this week's. That includes a matchup with the Steelers, who we've seen them on NBL Live. That includes the Dolphins near the end of the year and the Jets twice. They have a lot of division matchups left, and I do think this this Patriots team is better than the rest of that division. So with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 division matchups left, I think they go at least 4-1 in that. I think they get above 500 because the remaining schedule is so weak.
So kind of a trick question. I set you up there. I'm going to go with trash, and that's because I think they finish 8-8. They finish even. That's not a winning record. So, yeah, if you look through the schedule, I think they drop a couple in here. You mentioned, I think the Tennessee Titans probably get one over on the Patriots there. I think the Jets steal one in there. And then actually I like the Steelers to bounce back late and snag one. And then those Vikings, they've had some sneaky wins. So I think they lose 4 more. Patriots end up 8-8, winning the division. And so
will there be, what's the closest going to be competition? Is there going to be a 7-9 team, or are they going to win that running away?
You know, I think there is a 7-9 team. I think it comes down to the wire, but yeah, I think it's 7-9, 8-8.
All right. Well, that ends Truth or Trash, a segment you'll continue to see throughout Highly Debatable, but let's get to our final round. That is round 3. And it's time to play a little over-under. If you've never bet, you've never seen this before, first of all, get your head out of the ground. Get out of that cave you've been living in. We'll give you a stat or a record or some sort of number. The line will be set, and we'll have to determine whether we go over or under that line. Sonny Weaver, what's our first over or under?
We're going to go ahead and we're going to set the line. The Buffalo Bills having a very rough year protecting their quarterback. They're at 40 sacks right now through Week 8. Actually, I don't even know if they've played yet in Week 8. So I guess through 7 games.
They're playing the Patriots. It's through 7 games.
All right. So what we'll do is we're going to go ahead and set the total sack allowed number for the Buffalo Bills at 85. Over under OSU, the Buffalo Bills give up 85 sacks this year.
They're at 40 sacks right now?
Yeah, that's a lot.
That's a lot of sacks, folks. And I'm looking at their schedule coming up. They've got matchups with the Jaguars still to come. They've got to play the Detroit Lions in Week 15. And a couple division matchups. They got to play the Bears. Sonny, 85 sacks, though, would put them basically on pace with where they are now. I'm going to go under only because I almost can't believe that 85 sacks would be possible. I'm going to put them somewhere around 70 to 75 sacks. I think they're going to figure out something as it goes along later in the season. I don't think they make 85, but it wouldn't surprise me considering how bad it's been so far. But I'm going to go under for no reason other than it just baffles me that they could get that many sacks given up.
So they gave away 11 sacks to the Titans. I believe they had another close to double-digit sack day earlier in the season. My concern is they do play the Jacksonville Jaguars Week 13, and they do have the NBL sack leader right now. I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I'm going to take the over.
Wow, going against the crowd. Everybody's saying under in the chat.
Yeah, at one point the Bills were on pace to give up 100 sacks. Now it slowed down slightly. But I'm going to say the over. I think the Bears get them quite a few times. I think the Jaguars do. And then I think the Lions do. So give me the over. I think the Buffalo Bills are going to end up somewhere around 90 sacks allowed this season.
Yeah, I just think it's tough to get up there because with 2 matchups against the Jets, 1 against the Patriots, 2 against the Patriots, and 1 against the Dolphins, 5 division matchups to go. That division isn't exactly sack heavy, but again, it wouldn't surprise me. Sonny, what's our second over-under?
Over under, there's 7-0 teams, and they're both in the NFC. The over under is 3.5. The total number of losses between the Dallas Cowboys and the Atlanta Falcons.
Over under set at 3.5. I am going to take the over on that one. I think any team, it's hard to go undefeated in the NBL. We've all seen that even with the best teams. I think the Falcons, as I know, being the owner of the Falcons. They still have matchups. They got to play the Browns and the Cowboys back-to-back. There's one guaranteed loss right there, that matchup between the Cowboys and the Falcons. So it's really, then, can they get 3 more losses? I think probably the Falcons end up with 2 to 3 losses. I think the Cowboys end up with 1 to 2 losses. I think there's certainly over, I think there's 2 losses between them. I think 3.5. I'll take the over on that one.
I'm going to go the other way. I'm going to go with the under, that 3.5 number being a very important number. I put that number right at 3. I think the Falcons lose 2 games, 1 to the Cowboys, 1 to the Browns. I think the Cowboys drop 1, and it's going to actually be an upset. It's going to be against Tampa Bay week 16. It'll be the Cowboys' only loss on the year, so the number is exactly 3. So I'm taking the under on this one. And it's going to be the 1 and 2 seed, I think, here in the NFC. So we're going to see that matchup again, maybe in the NFC division round.
Look out for that Week 17 game for the Cowboys, taking on the Giants. I am big on the Giants under new ownership. I know there's a lot of problems with their roster. The one thing that does concern me about the Cowboys maybe a little bit is how much they rely on Ezekiel Elliott. It only takes 1 injury. We've seen running backs go down a ton this cycle. It only takes 1 injury, and I don't trust that passing attack quite as much to keep them undefeated, so I'll take the over. But it will be interesting to watch as we go forward. Sonny, last but not least, what's our last over-under?
So the last over-under, we've heard a lot of talk about Baker Mayfield the last couple weeks. There's been a lot of discussions. Is he the MVP? You look at it statistically, and he's not really having the caliber of season we've seen for quarterbacks in the MVP hunt, but does he pick it up? We're going to set the number right now for Baker Mayfield passing yards at 4,500. OSU over or under?
This Browns offense has been fantastic. They're number 1 in scoring. They're number 1 in yards per game. They're number 1 in passing yards. They're averaging 300 yards per game. Baker Mayfield right now, 2,225 yards and 19 touchdowns. The question is, can he get slightly above that pace? He's averaging 12 yards per completion. He's only thrown 3 interceptions, 4,500 yards. I'm going to take the under on that one. Not by a lot, though. I'm thinking Baker Mayfield, 4,300 yards is about where he's going to be. I think he could benefit from some late season games against some lesser opponents. The big reason I think Baker Mayfield's under that is I don't know if he plays week 17. I think that would be the game that would get him over that 4,500 mark. So I'm going to take the under on that one, but I still think he probably leads the league in passing, and I think he's the MVP right now.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's the MVP, but I think he takes it over the top, and here's why. He's got 2 games against the Bengals still. He gets to finish out the year against the Ravens. I do think he plays in that game, and then he gets to play the Broncos, who've had some struggles in pass defense. I think you do see a 300-yard-a-game average going forward here for Mayfield. He does have a tough one against the Chiefs next week, but I think he can get close to 300, and he'll make up that difference in those Bengals and in that Broncos game. And don't sleep on the Panthers game. That you know, they're the Panthers. So I'll take the over on that.
I think this Bengals team is a little better than people give them credit for. I get they've had a tough start to the season, but they played the Kansas City Chiefs 28-21, which the Chiefs are a very good team, as you have asserted. I think this Bengals team is better. I don't think they're quite as big of a walkover, but we've seen them give up a ton of yards. It would not, again, this is another one that it would not surprise me if he went over. I just think it would surprise me if Baker Mayfield was playing week 17, only because how injuries go and going into the playoffs, where I think the Browns will have wrapped up the number 1 seed. I think it would surprise me if they play Baker Mayfield, their MVP, in week 17. That will do it for over under, folks. Again, folks, post in the chat right now, hashtag OSU wins, hashtag Sonny wins, to determine who wins this game. Let's get to shoutouts. It is shoutout time here on Highly Debatable. Our time to shout out the best and the worst here in the NBL, Madden, life in general. We really don't restrict it at all. Sonny Weaver, I will let you go first. Who's your shout out here for episode 22 of Highly Debatable?
Oh, so actually we're going to go ahead and we're going to change this shout out up right now. I was going to go one way. I'm going to go another. And this is actually shout out to John Blevins in the chat for reminding me of this shout out. And that shout out is Tyreek the Freak Hill. The man has not dropped a pass. He has not dropped a pass.
Not a single pass?
He has not dropped a single pass yet this season. I can't believe it because the guy has had the most receptions in NBL, no drops. He's the league leader in receiving. It's amazing. I don't know how long it can go, but right now Tyreek Hill is the best player in NBL. Don't at me.
It's pretty amazing to get through this far without a drop. So he certainly is deserving of a shout out. Sonny, I know which way you were gonna go. I'll take that route.
Take it.
Because I feel like it's my job. I'm gonna give a shout out to Cat 5. If you tech guys don't know what Cat 5 is, that's an Ethernet cord. And I gotta give a big shout out to our biggest person who was against Ethernet cords, the former owner of the New York Giants, Dark Brawler, aka Manny, aka Go to Bed Tiny Tim. No longer with us. Just couldn't get that wireless Ethernet to work. All seriousness, was a good kid. And I hope to see him in the NBL again someday once he has actually plugged in an Ethernet cord and not a USB cord to his Ethernet.
It was HDMI.
It was an HDMI, whatever the cord it was. You know, he was the little brother of the league. Everybody poked fun at him, but he was part of our family, and it's always sad to see a family member go. But we know that if he ever does join the NBL, he will get a shipment of 32 Ethernet cords from the 32 NBL members. DB, good luck in college or middle school, whatever you were starting this time. And always remember, you know, plug the right cord into the right port. That's just life lessons for everybody out there. So shout out, hashtag USB for life from Decadog. That's going to do it for Highly Debatable episode number 22. Sonny, it just felt like riding a bike. We just hopped right back on and rolled through it, and looking forward to this cycle for some more Highly Debatable action.
It's going to be fun. I'm excited. We'll see if we can get the stock exchange rolling back up here again. Maybe some more new segments. You never know.
You never know what's going to happen here on Highly Debatable. Appreciate all of you tuning in to Highly Debatable episode number 22. For my co-host, the highly debatable man himself, Sonny Weaver, I am OSU. Thank you again for tuning in. We will see you next time right here on Highly Debatable.